Loads of you have entrance exams and aptitude tests coming up in the next month for your university applications, and as part of that, the majority of you will have to write an essay to demonstrate your prowess at essay writing and your ability to communicate. So let's do a crash course on how to write an essay under timed conditions. Okay, to get down to business, the basic structure for an essay is your introduction, whereby you define your terms. That is, you take the question and you pick apart the question and you define what the ambiguous terms are within the question. Then you have 3 paragraphs. We'll go to 4 now, this is number 1. You have 3 paragraphs arguing your point and also acknowledging potential counter-arguments that you then deal with within the essay. And the 5th part of your essay is you have your conclusion. You restate your argument and then you say the implications of your argument. So you say what you're going to say, you say it, and then you say again what you just said, and then you say what the implications are of what it is that you've said. This is the really simple and elegant essay structure that you can use, and it is the elegant essay structure that I used for my finals when I was at Oxford, and in this period of time you get to work out 3 essays within 3 hours using this structure, and your arguments can actually be pretty persuasive. There were times when I was very persuaded by what I was writing. So let's break this apart. So you have your introductions and you're defining your terms. Say let's take the question, why do we need banks? You're going to need to explain what it is to need something. And you're also going to have to explain what is your understanding of a bank. Of course, the why part is quite obvious. You're explaining why you need something and why that need is specific to this thing known as a bank. To take a different example, I could say, explain what is understood by water. Okay, now you're going to need to explain what you mean by water, because water could mean H2O, it could mean this very wet thing that falls from the sky that might also be known as rain. It could mean ice. Water is a very ambiguous term and it completely depends on the context and your interpretation of that term as to what direction your essay goes. Of course, it may look like you're dodging the question if you opt to define the terms in a way that is not really respecting what you're particularly writing an essay on. So say if you're doing a chemistry essay and they ask you what is understood by water, and you go off on one and start talking about it's the rain, or it's a social construct, or it's a process, or it is wetness. And you don't mention at all that it's an oxygen atom with 2 hydrogen atoms bonded to it, and that has these properties when put in other solvents and whatnot. Then you're probably not going to be ticking off the boxes that you want you to demonstrate when you're doing, a chemistry essay. However, if you're doing less of a sciencey subject, they're looking less for what your concrete knowledge is and that you can demonstrate that and portray it very clearly. They're looking more for your ability to argue, which means that there's far more flexibility in how you define the terms. So, with the question, why do we need banks? I said that for need, I will understand it as necessary for survival. If you interpret need in this way as opposed to a financial institution that allows us to live more harmoniously within the current civilization that we are existing within, then we don't need banks. Because we don't actually need banks for our survival, because there was a time in which banks didn't exist and we were still around. A beautiful structure for introducing your essay is simply, this essay will argue that. This essay will argue that we do not need banks because the services that a bank provides can easily be replaced by other services or other means of conducting ourselves within society. So for instance, could be, this essay will argue that we do not need banks because the services that a bank provides can easily be replaced by alternative services. This essay will understand the term need to be something that is necessary for human survival. To start, this essay will acknowledge the argument for why banks are necessary for human survival. However, it will quickly become clear that this point of view is flawed for the following reasons. List your reasons, and then your following paragraphs will continue to go into those reasons and develop them, and then you will ultimately conclude your essay. That is a very rough introduction you can do. You straight away said what you were arguing, you straight away defined your terms, and then you've gone through and outlined the quick structure of your essay, your 1, 2, 3 paragraphs that you're going to outline next. Why am I spending so much time in the introduction? It's because you can usually tell if an essay is going to be good just purely based on its introduction. In your introduction, you should shoot whoever is reading your essay in the head with your argument, hence why I want you to start with this essay will argue that. Then you need to quickly go in and say what your terms are, how are you understanding the question. If I do not understand how you understand what it is that you're writing about, then no one is going to be able to relate to anything that you're talking about. Take the term blue. Someone might understand it as a colour, whereas a philosopher might say, actually no, it's a secondary property that objects have. If that isn't specified in the introduction of your essay, as you continue through your essay, no one's really going to know what you're talking about, so you're not on the same page. And if you're not on the same page, then I can't really critique what you're saying, nor can I fully understand what you're saying. Then you want to quickly outline the structure of your essay. This makes it clear that you know what you're going to be writing about, and I can, in my head, think to myself, okay, this is what we're going to address first, then this one, and it will help me understand where you're going with this argument, and it will help you know what you need to do next in your essay. As a guide, I would say this would be about 4 sentences. It's very short, it does that in a nutshell, and then you proceed to actually write in your essay, because that's where the bulk of the writing needs to be done. Now, it should be quite clear what paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 are going to be about, because you just outline them in the introduction of your essay. You will then begin with point 1, then proceed to go into point 2, and then proceed to go into point 3. It should be fluid, you should have a nice structure, and then you will conclude. Of course, I'm not going to go into complete depth, but down in the description I've put a link that will give you some tips on how to perfect your essay writing technique. Ultimately, it comes down to practice. You just need to continually practice writing essays, which hopefully you guys have done, because the aptitude test is coming up soon, and for those of you who have done exams loads of times before, then you're quite well versed anyway. If I were to share one tip on writing the body of your essay, it would be sure to use signposts throughout your essay. So say you're writing the first paragraph of the body of your essay, you may start it with, as stated in the introduction, I will first address why one may think that banks are necessary for human survival. Then you may go on to explain how actually no, this opinion is wrong, and then say, now in the second paragraph I will go on to address the flaws in this, and in the third paragraph you really hit it home and say, as again mentioned in the introduction, I will now address this particular point. Yep, so those are my big tips. Make sure that you state your argument in the introduction really clearly, say what your terms are really clearly, and then go on to proceed to argue your points 1, 2, 3, and then restate what you just argued and the implications of your argument, i.e. say what your argument means. So if you just discovered that banking is not necessary for human survival, maybe we don't need banks, maybe we should rethink our entire banking system. That could be the implications of your argument. My battery is about to run out, so best of luck with your applications, and be sure to check out in the description for any other tips. And if you do like these videos and you do want more advice like this, I can do a more comprehensive video, be sure to post down in the comments. And my battery is actually going to die right now, I think. No, I'm so tempted just to keep filming now. Hey guys, so Simon's going to be introducing this video.
I am! These are questions which you guys have submitted to us about Oxford stuff, right?
Yep.
These are questions which you've left on Jamie's channel, and we're just going to answer them and go through them now.